guys, welcome back for another episode of Uncut Gems with Slim. I'm super excited to continue the Selfology series this week, and we are talking about self-confidence, y'all. And so, first of all, before we get into it, how y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing well. And January has been going very good for you guys so far, and you guys are staying inspired. And I also hope this series has been helping you guys with getting your life together, with becoming your best self, with your journey of self-discovery and everything like that. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into it. And so, like I said, this week we are talking about self-confidence, and by definition, self-confidence is a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. And when I was listening back to last week's episode about self-esteem, I was like, maybe I should have interchanged the two, because with self-esteem, we talked about how being confident in what you can do, your abilities, and who you are, that's kind of how you build your self-esteem, because when you know a thing about yourself, like, you can be confident in that thing. So I kind of was like, maybe I should have did self-confidence first and then self-esteem, so you guys can just build on each week, kind of like how we started with self-awareness, building onto self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence, all that good stuff. Self-confidence is going to be the last topic for the Selfology series, but don't get discouraged, because I'm super excited, because we will actually be having Miss Selfology herself, Ree Botsward. She will be on the podcast next week, so make sure you guys tune in. She will be giving you all the details about her journey to self-discovery and selfology and the whole framework and everything like that. So we will be having a gemstone guest next week, and I'm super excited to share it with you. But back to this week, we're talking about self-confidence. And so, like I said, we're building up our self-esteem. As you grow in your self-awareness, your self-love, and self-respect, you set the stage for self-confidence to develop. And so, as we're talking about self-confidence, I want to touch on the opposite, which is the lack thereof. So when it comes to a lack of self-confidence, that typically arises from a lack in one of the previous topics that we discussed earlier, either self-awareness, self-love, or self-respect and self-esteem. And so, with that being said, I want to pose the question, can you truly trust something or someone that you're not aware about? That kind of gives a little perspective to why self-awareness is so important when it comes to building your self-confidence. And so, being able to trust your qualities and judgment are very big things when it comes to maintaining your self-confidence. Being able to trust your awareness allows you to be confident in your qualities. So really making sure, you guys feel free to go back and listen to the self-awareness podcast or the self-awareness episode, and just really honing in on building that self-awareness, because as you build that awareness and being able to trust your awareness, you're able to grow in your self-confidence. And so I just wanted to share a practical example of how you can build self-confidence. This is it's a weird example, but it's one thing that I vaguely remember from growing up that I had to build my confidence up for. And so in high school, I never wore open toe shoes, y'all, because my feet look like my daddy feet, okay? And I'm a woman, and so my feet's a little manly, and people would always tell me girl, your feet are so ugly, blah, 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 blah. And so I was a little self-conscious about my feet, and so I would never wear open toe shoes. I literally didn't even I don't think I owned any open toe shoes, not that I would wear to school. And so one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to start wearing my toes out, okay? Because my thinking is, if you start doing a thing consistently over time, it's going to either grow on you, or you'll get to the point where you try to figure out something where you can improve. So last week we talked about learning to love it, learning to improve it, or removing it. So what I was doing was learning to love it. And so by consistently wearing my toes out over time, each day I ain't gonna lie, my toes started to look cuter in my eyes, and that's all that matters. And so about a month later, like, nobody could tell me that my toes was ugly. Like, you couldn't tell me that my toes was ugly because I thought my toes was cute. I started painting them and stuff and all of that, and I thought my little hammerhead toes was cute. And so over time, I literally started falling in love with my toes. Like, girl, your feet are cute. And with consistently wearing my toes out and consistently being more familiar with what my toes look like from seeing them every day, I started to like pinpoint, okay, my toes look better when I'm wearing this color toenail polish, or when my big toe is squared off. Like, if your big toe isn't squared off and you think your feet ugly, try squaring off your big toe, because that might be the key. And what I mean is by, just making sure it's in the shape of a square. If you go to the pedicure lady, they can square it off for you. But yeah, so it was just like over time, consistently wearing my toes out, like I said, they started to look more beautiful to me. I learned different things that could help improve the appearance of my feet, and I was able to learn how I preferred my toes to look. And so if I would have never taken the leap to start wearing my toes out and become familiar with what they look like, become familiar with my preferences in regards to it and things like that, like, I wouldn't be able to be confident in how my feet look today. And so this brings up my practical advice for building self-confidence, which is simply fake it till you make it. And that's not to say that's what you need to do every time, but for people who might not be confident in their smile, maybe you should smile more, because although there might be certain things you don't like about it, the more you expose yourself to showing your smile, showing your flaws that you might not be fond of, the more things you can pinpoint, like, oh, I actually do like how I smile, or I like when I turn this way and I smile, or like, oh, I think this is my good side, so when I take pictures, like, I'm gonna smile like this. Like, different things, exposing those flaws to yourself so you can become more aware. And once you become aware of those flaws and different things like that, you can formulate your preferences on how you prefer to present those flaws, or whatever. And so what I'm basically trying to say is, if you fake it till you make it, just try it. If you've never tried it before, if there's a certain thing about you physically that you just you're not a fan of, or it could be intrinsic characteristics as well. Like, if you're a pathological liar, fake it till you make it. Try to be truthful. And, eventually you might start being truthful. Like, it's worth a try. That's all I'm saying. It's worth a try. And once you kind of expose those things to yourself and build that awareness, and you trust your awareness, you'll be able to be confident in those things. And so, like I said, just like last week, if it's something as simple as your smile, you don't like smiling because you don't like how it looks, fake it till you make it, because you will either 1, learn to love your smile, 2, improve it, or 3 is remove it. And that doesn't mean literally, but you could get like veneers or something, but like, you can remove that stigma that the idea that you don't like your teeth or whatever. So that's just an example of how you can kind of fake it till you make it to build self-confidence within yourself. And I just feel like the root of self-confidence is self-love plus self-awareness. So make sure you guys, are adding up all of that self-love that we are learning and building within ourselves, as well as our self-awareness, and be confident in that. Trust yourself, trust your awareness, and just stand confident in all that you do in your journey of self-discovery. And I think that's a good way to build self-confidence, because if you have that self-love and that self-awareness, like, literally no one can deter you from being confident in yourself. And I think that's very important, especially these days when you have social media and all these different outlets that just pour into you, or portray what things might seem to be ideal. But y'all, really just fall in love with yourself, be aware about who you are, and everything like that, and self-confidence will follow. I hope this episode resonated with someone, and this entire series have been a blessing to your ears. I hope you guys have been full force in your journey of self-discovery and, just being all in the study of yourself, becoming more self-aware, loving yourselves more, and being self-confident. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, super excited. Next week, we will have Ree Botsward on the podcast. She'll be talking about the Selfology framework. So make sure you lock in and are subscribed so you do not miss that. Super excited. February, we got some new content coming for you guys, so make sure you stay tuned. And y'all, until next week. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and feel free to connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Slim Reshae. That's SLIMRESHAE. Links will be listed in the show notes. And until next time, love yourself and be beautiful. When you need to find